Go. Today we're with second generation watch producer Grant Menzies of ADINA Watches. ADINA produce watches here in Australia. It's not the usual business story we see. Tell us a little bit about it, Grant.
Thanks for joining us here in our workshop, Chris. As you can see, we are a producer of watches here in Australia, the last ones in fact. Dad started our business 46 years ago. He's a watchmaker by trade, and he was trying to come up with something that was going to be very saleable, reliable, and robust to stand up to the Australian lifestyle. So what he did was we outsourced all over the world. We bring all our components into our factory here in Brisbane, and we obviously put them together and then distribute primarily through our retail network of over 300 retailers nationally.
Fantastic. So what are some of the challenges you face in a modern competitive marketplace?
The last 5 decades have thrown up all sorts of challenges for us. Probably the most recent has been a diminishing client base. Our retailing channel has always been through the independent retailer nationally. We're only really selling here in Australia. We've got a few clients in New Zealand, but with some of those family businesses out in primarily regional Australia closing over time through nothing that we've done wrong, it's just they've retired or they've gone out of business and haven't had another generation coming through. We've had to look to the broader market to keep selling our ADINA. And an idea that we had a couple of years ago was to open an e-commerce channel. Now, Bob wasn't all for it, and I had to push hard to sort of get it done, but I feel that anything anywhere in society you can actually buy online. So for us to not be in that space was making us be left behind. I never wanted our retailers to be at a trade fair or just talking amongst themselves. Remember those great ADINA watches? Who are those guys? Oh, that's right, Bob and Grant, and go the way of Kodak or Blockbuster. We had to modernise, we had to step up, and e-commerce seemed like the next step to increase our consumer-centric focus. Today, there's so much interaction between the consumer and the brand through social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. It was important to us to interact with our consumers one-on-one without losing focus on our retailers that are really doing the business for us out there.
Okay. And so how did your retailers feel about that move?
I think there was some intrepidation at first when we announced. We've always been very, very transparent with our retailers that we were going to go down this e-commerce path. At first, I think there was a little bit of nervousness, but what we were actually doing, and now after 2 years, we've got really solid data on it, that any retailer that's actually ranging a range of watches in store has had nothing to fear from the e-commerce side of our business. For the consumers still want to come in, they want to touch, they want to feel, this is a very personal purchase, a watch, so the consumers still want to touch and feel it. Where we've actually been distributing our watches, and like I said, we've got really solid data on it now, is to the far reaches of Australia. Australia's a really big place, and people can be 6-7 hours from a retail store if they're on a property, etc. So, our Country Master work watches have been going out to and I'm always surprised where they end up. Other markets, like in Metro Sydney, we don't have any real retail focus down there. So retailing, e-commercing in Sydney has been quite strong for us. Wollongong's another example of where we've had a strong reaction from the consumers because we don't have any retailers there. Conversely speaking, the data also points to big ADINA markets like, for example, Toowoomba or Townsville, where we have very strong representation. We're not selling anything off the web in those particular towns. So it's become an interesting thing where I know things are difficult out there, and sometimes the retailers are concerned that you might be stealing, in inverted commas, their customers. But overall, we're promoting the brand, and what we've done to actually, with the money that is like less than 1% of our turnover, we've actually ploughed that back into all our retailers' stores on a pro rata basis. We're doing decaling in stores, we're lifting the brand profile. So as when the people are walking past the stores, they go, wow, these guys sell ADINA. I've heard about them on telly, or I've heard about them on the radio or in print, and now I can see them in my local town or in my local suburb, and they choose to purchase. In the past 12 months, we're growing. So the philosophy and the plan, although difficult to swallow at first, is really gaining traction.
Okay, great. Look, it sounds like a really innovative approach to keeping your retailers on side whilst growing your brand. What can you tell us? Anything more?
Well, we're really moving towards the next. We've been, as I said earlier, going for the past 46 years. We're very, very proud of the watches that we make to be chosen for somebody's birthday, anniversary, graduation gift. Watches are so personal and they have an intrinsic value that I've never understood, but it's powerful. And the more that we can do to make a watch that's repairable, reliable, and looks great, will further sort of cement us into the Australian psyche. And my goal long term is to make ADINA an iconic Australian brand that'll be talked about in the same conversation as Qantas. So anytime you might be sort of walking down the street, let's say London, and you see someone wearing an ADINA watch, you know they're an Aussie, and you can say, "Oh, how you going?" And they go, "Oh yeah, I'm going great." And it's that little piece of home that's always with you. But thanks for joining us here in our workshops, and I look forward to catching up again soon.